Welcome back to the Humble Market Timer YouTube channel. If you enjoy the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. In today's video, I'll discuss Palantir, a great company, but is it headed lower? I do believe it might be headed lower. And I'll break down, based on the technicals and the fundamentals, why I think it's headed lower. Once again, let me give you my disclaimer. Again, this is not financial advice. These are just my sole ideas. Please read it, and we'll move on. Okay, Palantir is a leading AI company that has developed an artificial intelligence platform to improve the efficiencies in the commercial space, but more notably in the military defense sector. Please read up more on the company. They've got a lot of great dynamic applications and tremendous growth prospects for the future. They provide some products and some things that no other company in the world provide. So they are a special company that has a product that can and will be used by many people in the very near future. They're projected to have 35% growth year over year. And as a result, their stock has had a meteoric rise. It has appreciated, if you go back all the way to the start of January of 2024, it has risen all the way from $16 to February of 2025, it hit $125. So, I mean, it has really exploded over the last 12 to 15 months. And clearly the market sees it as a valued company, and they have rewarded it with huge increase in price. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm a pretty big fan of the company. I think, again, the company has tremendous prospects, and they're special in that they provide something that no other company really provides. However, based on the macro environment, fundamentals, and the charts, it's screaming for this company to head lower as far as pricing. As I'm sure you all are very aware, the macro environment isn't great right now in the economy. The economy right now is very skittish with all the news of the tariffs that Trump has implemented. It's caused uncertainty because we don't really know what those tariffs will do to prices in the future. And because of that uncertainty, when the markets hate uncertainty, when there's uncertainty, they want to get out. And when they want to get out, stock market drops and prices collapse. That's just kind of how things work. Now, just to kind of show you that we've kind of been in a slide from a charting standpoint, here's a picture of the NASDAQ. It's the IXIC chart. And as you can see, it has traded within a nice range over the course of the last year. But recently, you can see it has dropped out of that range. Typically, when you do fall out of a range, you get a retest of the lower band. And as you can see, it rejected it and is headed lower again. That's a very, very, very bearish signal for the NASDAQ. And when the NASDAQ represents technology, so all aspects of technology are likely going to come under pressure as the chart of the NASDAQ continues to be bearish. And I believe that Palantir, as great as a company as it is not immune, and it'll get pulled down as well. Now, fundamentally, Palantir, they make probably about $2.5. I think in 2024 they made about $2.5 billion a year in revenue, maybe slightly more than that. And they're projected to make a little over $3 billion in 2025. Again, great growth, but when you look at the fact that you're talking about $2 and $3 billion as their revenue, their current market cap or valuation is $200 billion. That's considered to be very, very expensive. You want to reward companies who are showing great growth with higher valuations, particularly if they have IP or intellectual property that other people don't have or other companies don't have. But when you're talking about price to sales ratio being that high, things have to come down. And particularly when you're in an environment where the stock market has boomed over the last few years and it's finally reached a point where we're having a bit of a correction. The companies and the stocks that correct the most are typically the ones that fly the highest. And with Palantir having 10x in the last year or so, it's primed to be one of the companies that has one of the biggest falls coming down as the stock market corrects. Again, even though I believe it's a great company. Just to kind of break down this Palantir chart, you can see how it had been grinding higher, this is back in May and June of 2023, and then it skyrocketed in August of 24, and it really exploded, going from the $30 point to when it popped all the way to 125. And when you have that kind of pop, again, it tends to lead to a decline for it to make its way back to the original uptrend line. That's just how markets work. It doesn't mean a company is bad. That's just how markets work. They spike, then they correct. One of the things I drew here is you can see how I drew a line from the initial increase and how that line has acted as a resistance, and then it broke through the resistance, and then it acted as support, and it has then exploded out of that support all the way to the 125 area. And as you can see, it has come down back to that support. It bounced off support, and now we just fell out of the bounce and it's headed lower. Now, typically, you can tell where a stock is going to go based on simple technical analysis. And I'm going to use in this particular video measured moves. The first one I want to look at, though, is what this particular stock is starting to form. And what you see here is that you have a shoulder here, a head there, and now we're starting to make another shoulder. This is a typical uptrending head and shoulder pattern, which is a very bearish pattern. And it'll get triggered once you start getting open and closes beneath this clearly displayed neckline that has trended all the way from July. I believe once this neckline is broken, you'll start to potentially see the price start to accelerate lower. That's just how markets work. Again, doesn't mean the company's bad, but this is a very bearish pattern, and algorithms and big money are wired to when they see bearish patterns, when they're triggered, they automatically hit the sell button, and that's what causes stocks and commodities and other assets to have quick and deep declines, particularly when there's not a great market that's being had right now. And just to kind of show you what you typically do once you do, if you do, hold on, let me erase that. If you do get a break of the neckline in this head and shoulders pattern, typically you can measure where the stock will go based on the break of the neckline and the length of the neckline to the highest point of the head. As you can see here, if you put this and measure it right here, ironically, what do you see? You see that the price point is going towards the original uptrend of Palantir before it had its explosive move back in July, August of 2024. And if you look at the price, it puts the price in that $30 price range, just to kind of give you a range, probably in that $35 to $25 price range. And you're saying to yourself, well, how could a stock that has the growth prospects and the great abilities and capabilities of Palantir, how could it come crashing that much and still be considered a great company? It's not that uncommon. Back during the dot-com bubble, Amazon, which is a great company and proved to be a great company, had a dramatic fall. But the great companies always come back. A lot of times we have a washout in bubbles to get rid of all the junk so that the cream of the crop can rise and prosper, and the money can go towards the top companies and leave the companies that were just were able to capitalize on the wave. Those companies get left behind. Same thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a dramatic rise and it came crashing down. And a lot of other coins that had dramatic rise came crashing down with it and didn't make it. But the strong survive, and I believe Palantir is one of those companies that will survive. But a lot of times, those companies require sort of a realignment or a pullback to the original line of uptrend so that it can repower and go higher when the fundamentals more align with the revenue and the market value more so aligned. Another thing you can look at to gauge price is you can look at this action here. You see you have a flagpole, and then you have this particular formation of a flagpole and a slight move up is called a bear flag. Bear flags are very common in technical analysis. Is when you have a straight move down almost, and then it bounces, but the bounce does not go up that much, and then it just rejects back down. And typically, you can take the flagpole, and then you look at when it flags, and once you have a break of the flag, which you can see took place last week, once you have the break of the flag, you can measure from the break of the flag to the bottom of the length of the flagpole. It gives you another price target. As you can see, that break of the flagpole puts you in that $30 to $35 price range. So you have some level of confluence that's telling you, okay, even though this is a great company, it went all the way to $125, it has pulled back a little bit and got a little bit of bounce. It is something is showing and telling the public that the stock is not going to stay up here, and that it has a magnetic pull back to that original uptrend line. The last thing I'll point out is in most of these videos, I talk about symmetry in how stocks move, and that oftentimes the way that a stock goes up, it corrects in almost the exact same way coming down. And as you can see in Palantir, it's starting to get the look of how it looked on the way up. Look at how this move here on this side, look at how similar it is coming down. You had a move up here. Look at how similar the move up here is, and it's now being broken and headed back south. And what it's telling me is that we have this move up, and that you're likely going to have a similar move down. So it'll probably be something pretty quick and swift, particularly if the macroeconomic environment stays muddy with the tariffs. If we still don't have the certainty of what's going to go on with inflation, you can see that if the stock market continues to correct, Palantir, which again was a high flyer, will correct pretty vigorously down. And it won't be a pleasant thing, but I think it's something that the company needs to kind of get back to some level of normalcy. Stocks just don't go straight up. There's always ebbs and flows, and a lot of times it requires, if you see a stock that rockets 10x in a year or so, it needs a breather, and oftentimes that breather can pull the stock all the way back down to its original point of where it first rocketed up. And I do believe that we'll see that moving forward. So keep an eye on that $30 to $35 price range. I'm starting to see some analysts come out and say that it's headed back there, but a lot of times the analysts don't tell you why they're saying it's going to 35. And I'm providing you with some technical analysis that has been proven that is showing you why people are starting to come out now with lower price targets for Palantir. Again, the company, I still believe it's a great company, but at the same time, when you have those meteoric rises, you have to have it be offset with that drop to kind of get it back to a certain level of normalcy. If you like the video, again, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on next time. Have a good one.